Last night's episode was a bit of a roller coaster. It had its ups and downs. It was thrilling, but in the end, just like a real roller coaster, there wasn't really much of a threat or danger. Plus, what happened on the live feeds this morning, because we didn't get them last night, we're going to be breaking down all of that and more. What's up, Internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, and if you like this video, hit that like button. We're breaking down everything that happened on last night's episode of Celebrity Big Brother, plus what happened on the live feeds, who's the new HOH, who are the possible targets, where might this week go. Let's start off with the episode. We originally thought the night before, you know what, this is going to be a pretty straightforward episode. We kind of know what's going to happen, that Mirai is going to be the one who's evicted. Chris is really targeting in on her, and it's going to be pretty much a non-eventful episode. Then we woke up with some live feed information where NSYNC had decided, hey, if I win the veto, I want to take out Todrick. And everybody was like, whoa, what do you mean you want to take out Todrick? You want to backdoor Todrick now? What's going on? Because there was no veto, right? We were getting the veto during the episode. And it was one of those things where it was like, is this actually something he's going to do? Because obviously he wasn't exactly happy with Miesha and Todrick trying to push their agenda over what he wanted, but still, there's no way he was actually going to do this, right? Especially, I had doubts in my head because he didn't seem to want to do it unless he won the veto. He wanted to win veto, take Todrick off, take Chris Kattan off, and put Todrick up. And that just seemed weird to me, right? Because there's other options, right? What if Chris Kattan won and took himself off? You wouldn't put Todrick up then? What if one of your allies won and took somebody off? You wouldn't put Todrick up then? What if Mirai won HOH? You wouldn't do it then? So it was kind of a weird situation where it was like, what's really going on here? And that's kind of what ended up happening was, the veto, the live veto was awesome. It was really back and forth. At certain points, Todrick was in the lead and tied with other people. Shayna was tied in there. I think even Cynthia at one point was tied for the lead. And eventually it came down to a tiebreaker scenario with Shayna and Todrick. And it was like, whoa, are we about to see a possible backdoor if Todrick loses this tiebreaker question? And it was an interesting question too. The tiebreaker was in hours. How long was it from the time that the Mon bag was revealed to actually Todd being put on the block with the bag? And when the answers were revealed, I was like, well, it's no way it's close to 180 hours with Todd, which was Todrick's answer. And then Shayna answered somewhere around like 72. I was like, that seems a lot closer. Well, Todrick wasn't too far off. The real answer was 175 hours. He was 5 hours off. He almost won the veto. And then I was like, whoa, Shayna won. Shayna and NSYNC are really tight. They're great allies. Maybe she will use the veto like Chris, and take Chris off, and then they'll put Todrick up and backdoor him, right? This seems like they have all the power. No, especially when you go back and you watch that veto, NSYNC threw that veto hard. He went around all day telling people, yeah, if I win the veto, I'm going to backdoor Todrick. Yeah, if I win veto, I'm going to backdoor Todrick. And then he purposely threw this thing. He got 1 point. 1 point in the entire competition. You're telling me you're that bad at this veto? Not a chance. He threw this thing. At one point, he threw up a thumbs up. It was the most obvious throw I've ever seen in a veto competition in a really long time. This was really obvious that he didn't want anything to do with this veto. He wanted to talk, act like he was going to pull a big move, but he never really had the intention to do it. That's why he had so many caveats on, oh yeah, I have to win. I have to win the veto and I'll do it. He didn't want to do it, right? He just wanted to act like he wanted to do it, especially to people like Cynthia and Carson and Shayna. He wanted them all to believe he was going to do it, and he was ready to do it, but he didn't ever really want to do it. So Shayna wins veto, nominations stay the same, and then we got another little wrench thrown in the plan where it came time for the eviction speeches where the nominees get to say their last piece. And Chris Kattan pretty much falls on his sword just like he does in the middle of the night. And he asked to be evicted. He said, yeah, vote me out. Keep her. She wants to stay. I want to go. Vote me out of the house. Well, the house didn't do that. They ended up voting 7-0. Mirai went, and she was evicted by a 7-0 vote unanimously. I don't know if we've ever seen a scenario like that in Big Brother before, where somebody has asked to be voted out, and then the house says, nah, we're all voting her out. It was crazy. It was a crazy situation. And a wild episode that we thought was going to be pretty uneventful going into it. Now, the live feeds were down for hours. They didn't come back on until 1:30 BB time, AM. So they were down for almost 5 to 6 hours before we got any information on what happened. Couple of things that we know. It was one of those HOHs where you had to kind of like hold the buttons down and take off your outfit. And if you let go of a button, it was going to speed up the clock. So I think everybody went individually, and that's one of the reasons why it took so long. But yeah, it was a really long time until we found out who won HOH. And the way we found out who HOH was is one of the best reveals I've ever seen on the live feeds. So they got the Houseguest pizza, and they're all sitting around like, eating pizza, and there's like only a couple of them in there. I think it was NSYNC and Carson were two of the ones that were in there. And NSYNC just goes, man, it feels like Miesha's been HOH this entire time we've been here. And Carson goes, yeah, you kidding me? It feels like Miesha's been HOH my entire life. She's been HOH since the Reagan administration. So that is who won HOH. It was Miesha. And it's going to be kind of interesting because after we found out who won, there were a couple of conversations that I did catch before everybody went to sleep. They went to sleep pretty early. Everybody kind of got a shower. They got ready for bed, and they were exhausted. They went and they did their thing. So the first conversation I was able to grab was Todrick and Miesha. And they were talking about how they were mad all day at Chris. Now, I wasn't 100% sure if they were talking about NSYNC or they were talking about Kattan. But I mean, who would be mad at Kattan? I think it was pretty obvious they were mad at NSYNC. I think they were either clued in on by somebody or they just caught on to what he was trying to do themselves by vibes. I'm not 100% sure. Todrick was like, I was just so frustrated all day. And Miesha's like, me too. I almost wanted to throw something. So I'm assuming they had caught on to the idea that he wanted to actually backdoor Todrick. Who that information came from, I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like they had gotten that inkling, which makes things a little interesting for NSYNC this week, especially with Miesha in power now. You were targeting her right-hand man, her closest ally in the game. I don't know how well this is going to go for you. But then later on, another conversation I was able to hear was between NSYNC, Carson, and Cynthia. They were all in the kind of the bedroom talking, and NSYNC threw Todrick and Miesha under the bus, right? He was like, yeah, like they were coming to me to be like, hey, if the veto's used and Mirai takes herself off, like, you know, you should put Carson up. And Carson's like, me? Carson's fantastic. I really have grown to find him very entertaining inside the house. Him and Chris Kattan, they have been two of the highlights. Lamar as well. I really am enjoying those three in the house. They're great entertainment. He was like, I'm flattered. And so he threw them right under the bus, Todrick and Miesha, to Cynthia and Carson, which again is weird since Miesha just won the HOH. Why are you throwing the HOH under the bus? I don't know. So he also was like, yeah, they're the two-headed dragon, and it's why I keep saying to her, like, I trust you, right? Like, I think he's trying to push the idea he trusts Miesha, but he doesn't trust Todrick. But to trust Miesha means that you have to trust Todrick. They're a pair, and you can't have one without the other, really, in this game, especially when one's in power. So all of last week, obviously, Carson was kind of Todrick and Miesha's big target, but now it potentially could be in sync as well. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out this week. Will Miesha target Carson like she originally has been thinking? Will she go after NSYNC because of him almost coming after them last night? It's going to be kind of a wild week to see how this unfolds. I don't imagine that they're going to wake up too early today, but we will try and get some information from the live feeds and bring that information to you tomorrow's update. But yeah, it was a wild episode, a wild few events on the live feeds, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a wild week going forward as well. But that's all I really got for you guys today. Like I said, there wasn't much of the feeds. They were on for maybe 2 hours, and then everybody went to sleep. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like this video, hit that like button. And if you're new here, this is your first time watching, hit that subscribe button. We do live feed updates. Last night we did a live watch party for the episode of the veto and the eviction. So yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you enjoyed. My name's been Ori. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you next time.